Here is your AI briefing for June 27, 2026, with 12 stories. Story 1. South Korea plans to train entire military as drone warriors. South Korea says its 500,000-strong military will be trained to use drones as a universal combat tool, shifting units toward faster drone-centric target engagement across the force. This initiative directly addresses North Korea's escalating missile threats by integrating unmanned systems into standard infantry tactics. It marks a strategic pivot from traditional manpower reliance to automated aerial surveillance and strike capabilities. Training 500,000 troops as drone warriors ignores the logistical nightmare of maintaining that swarm. Expect massive budget blowouts, not tactical dominance. Story 2. OpenAI poaches Uber India chief to lead its biggest market outside the US. OpenAI hired Uber India chief to lead its largest non-US market push, expanding India offices and partnerships and accelerating local hiring beyond prior expansion efforts. The appointee will oversee a strategy targeting India's 1.4 billion population. This move signals OpenAI's intent to compete directly with local tech giants in a highly competitive emerging market. Uber's exiled leader gets a fresh sandbox in India. But OpenAI still lacks the regulatory grit to tame local chaos. Story 3. This AI agent survived 6,000 hack attempts. Here's how. Fernando Irazabal shared his OpenClaw assistant's inbox on Hacker News, and Claude Opus 4.6 fended off 6,000-plus hack attempts with response filtering and behavioral checks. This real-time defense mechanism demonstrates scalable security protocols for autonomous agents handling untrusted external communications. 6,000 hack attempts sound impressive until you realize Claude's defense is likely just aggressive spam filtering, not novel security architecture. Story 4. OpenAI's GPT 5.6 is here, but most users still cannot access it. OpenAI unveiled GPT 5.6, Sol, Terra, Luna, but access is limited to government-approved partners, delaying broader rollout. Expect later availability once partner gating and compliance checks finish. The model introduces advanced reasoning capabilities but remains behind strict government vetting protocols that prioritize national security over commercial availability. OpenAI's tiered naming scheme sounds sci-fi but effectively just gates enterprise revenue behind red tape, leaving consumer hype empty-handed. Story 5. It's not about Anthropic versus OpenAI anymore. As AI capabilities reshape real-world political outcomes, governments and industry must coordinate collective safeguards beyond the Anthropic versus OpenAI framing to mitigate cascading risks. Direct state intervention is required to align competing corporate interests with public safety, as market forces alone cannot prevent systemic failures. This regulatory shift forces AI firms to prioritize verifiable alignment metrics over competitive speed, fundamentally altering development roadmaps. Anthropic and OpenAI are just the pawns. Governments demanding collective safeguards admits the current race is an existential liability, not a feature. Story 6. The maker of ChatGPT wants to make open-source projects less of a security bargain. OpenAI's Patch the Planet will triage low-quality OSS security bug reports from overloaded maintainers, so only high-signal vulnerabilities get patched faster, using automated filtering to cut noise. Automated triage reduces the burden on volunteer maintainers by filtering out duplicate or low-impact reports before human review. This efficiency gain accelerates critical patch deployment, directly lowering the exposure window for high-severity vulnerabilities in popular libraries. OpenAI effectively becomes a spam filter for open-source maintainers, solving noise pollution by centralizing gatekeeping power rather than fixing the AI quality problem. Story 7. The AI industry is pouring millions into US elections. AI firms are channeling hundreds of millions of dollars into US elections, leveraging political advertising and lobbying to shape outcomes ahead of upcoming voting cycles. These funds support deepfake technology and automated voter outreach campaigns. Political operatives warn this unprecedented spending could distort democratic processes, through algorithmic manipulation. AI firms buying political influence proves they value policy capture more than product utility, effectively lobbying for less oversight. Story 8. Google is using your search data to train AI. Here's how to stop it. Google's gradual rollout adds a search activity toggle that controls whether Gemini training uses your past queries, and you must opt out via a buried search settings switch. This configuration persists across devices linked to the account, requiring manual deactivation on each platform to fully prevent data ingestion. Users must navigate to the specific search activity controls rather than relying on general privacy settings to execute this opt-out. Google gamifies privacy with a buried toggle, forcing users to hunt for an opt-out while quietly harvesting their search history for Gemini anyway. Story 9. Proof launches X401, the open protocol for verifying the authority behind AI agents. Proof's X401 goes live with a CLI and demos to let online services demand cryptographic authorization proof for AI agents' actions, enabling agent payments while closing the "who authorized this" gap. The protocol enables autonomous agents to receive payments and execute actions without human intermediaries. This mechanism secures the transaction layer for decentralized AI economies. X401 solves the liability gap for autonomous agents, proving cryptographic accountability is the only path to scaling agent commerce beyond toy demos. Story 10. Unsettling relationships developing between workers and AI coworkers. As AI coworkers spread, experts warn teams must switch from operator roles to instructor and judgment workflows with clear protocols to prevent misalignment and safety risk. Workers increasingly view AI as a peer rather than a tool, fostering emotional bonds that complicate performance evaluations. This shift demands new management frameworks to address ethical concerns regarding human-AI dependency and accountability. Corporate hype frames workers as instructors, but the real shift is humans policing AI errors while management dodges safety liability. Story 11. Geoffrey Hinton says, "Don't give up on your intuition." The godfather of AI persisted even when everybody called his approach crazy. Geoffrey Hinton argues that intuition-led research despite criticism remains essential, pointing to how early beliefs about learning mechanisms ultimately influenced today's large-scale AI systems. His persistence validated neural networks, forming the foundational architecture for modern generative AI models. This historical insight warns against dismissing unconventional research paths that may unlock future technological breakthroughs. Hinton's anecdote inspires but distracts. Intuition didn't build the current AI paradigm, brute force compute and data did. Story 12. Microsoft built supercomputer to help OpenAI infringe copyrights, NYT alleged. After a SCOTUS-Sony ruling, NYT pivoted its copyright arguments against OpenAI and Microsoft, tying the dispute to a custom supercomputer used for training. The server cluster allegedly processed billions of copyrighted works. Legal experts argue this infrastructure proves deliberate intent to bypass licensing agreements for commercial gain. Microsoft's custom supercomputer isn't evidence of malice, just the expensive plumbing for inevitable copyright litigation they should have planned for. That is the briefing for today.